And that was like a click in my head. I said, oh, this tells me something. I'm so lucky. Because it really makes a point that in the left of the supposed bad ones, here comes that shape, which is heavily symbolic, but heavily, I mean, touching and good. And we started to pick all these heart-shaped potatoes. But I said, well, that will be the line of the film. You know, we go through people who go in garbages, but we know we will meet hard. And we did meet incredible people. I mean, one after another, you can remember them. They are very interesting, you know. I remember the man in Aix-en-Provence who made a point, you know, about eating for 10 years, you know, in the garbage, never been sick. And maybe he could have, you know, he's not totally poor, but he makes a point about that. And then what I did was I would give them the ability to say what they wanted to say. Like this one said, okay, I do an interview with you if I can speak about the birds. Okay, speak about the birds, because it was the time where we have that Erika boat, who was a disaster, you know, an ecological disaster, and glue all over all the beaches. So he wanted to speak about that, like the other one in where the trails are, you know. And they say, this is Guylaine, and Guylaine say, I want to say something. Why, Monsieur le Maire, let us come. So the idea is that I really saw that people need everything, but they need to speak. They need to speak out. They need to be listened to. And sometimes we spend a lot of time, sometimes not filming because it was not possible, or sometimes speaking with them, saying, okay, I make a film, can we come back? So it's an attitude. The whole film is the result of an attitude in terms of being a documentarist. This is not going, questioning, coming back, this is it, you have it, pack it, deliver. It took me 1 year, but I didn't work all the time. And my method was, I worked 1 week shooting. Then I come to editing home, I give myself 2 weeks. I see what I have. Then it's obvious I don't have enough. Meanwhile we make phone calls to find people who accept us to come in apple fields, or, you know, you cannot just go like this, so making connection here and there, looking at ideas. Okay, back another week of shooting. I never made more than 1 week. Organizing everything in the south around Arles, or another time around Aix-en-Provence, then we went north, we went in Brittany, South Brittany for the ocean. And each time I will edit whatever I had, as if that's all I have. And it would bring the meaning out. And I would see clearly what was missing, because I wanted to cover different ways of gleanings, different country in the country, different district, different accents in France, and different ways of breeding, obviously. So the gleaners who do something with it, the artist gleaners, you know, the gleaners, artists, this is easy to find, there are thousands all over. But I mean, I found some, and they are interesting. Meanwhile, I met so many others. But the thing about the city, the thing about the garbage, that was very impressive, because I didn't believe before that it was so much coming out of it. And the attitude was, when people glean in garbage, you know, most of the people passing by, they don't look at them because they think they will be ashamed. They will be ashamed to be in the garbage. And I had the attitude totally different. I would go to them and say, you are so smart, because there's so much in the garbage. There is so much that you can pick, and they would show me, look at it. And the way there is a scene, he said, look at this apple, look at this kiwi. I don't know, there were so many things, not rotten at all. Not sometimes, yes, when it comes with the parsley and say, look, petit bouquet de persil and all that. And I don't know if it is in this film or the second one. I have to say something about the second one, because 2 years later, I thought these people were so beautiful, and there had been so much to film, I had to go back to them. And so when I went back to see the incredible one at the end, the one who is so generous, you know, the one who eats vegetarian directly on the ground, and then it took me 1 month to speak to him, and I was alone. Often I had a very small camera and would maybe not even film, but I noticed him. I went around, I would smile, I would be around, and I filmed a little from far. And the thing about, I spoke with him when he spoke about partially, this is true, I found it was a nice introduction. And later I spoke with him, filmed him alone always, because very shy. And one day I said like this, I said, "Oh, so you live around?" "No, no, I live in a shelter somewhere." "And what do you do at night? You have television?" "Oh, no, no, I work. That's how I learned he was teaching." And I said, "That's incredible. Can we go there?" He said, "Well, it's not important." I said, "Yes, it's important." It took me another 2 weeks to ask the people of Bali or Mali if they would accept, because some are Musulman. It's a problem of faith, and it's a problem of no papers. And I had to ask permission from the boss of the shelter. And it's just these things have to be. But then we filmed in the when he teaches French to these people, which I found beautiful. Now, just to jump to the second film, when I went back to see all these films of this person, this one day, we're speaking about being vegetarian. He said, "I'm very strong, you know." And he said, "I do the marathon." You know, the marathon is 42 kilometers in Paris. This man does the marathon, and in the second film I filmed him. He does the marathon in 3 hours and a half. I mean, it became like a character in a novel that you would not invent, you know. So I was going from surprise to surprise, enjoying meeting them, enjoying making that film, and trying to give meaning to the difference between picking the garbage, picking the field, picking that way food, what, and who is picking and why they do it. Do they have trouble? When people push them or let them do it? And obviously, they were so sincere, they were so fresh in the way of, well, they got along with me, but they were so sincere that I say I have to be myself, part of it. Like, I don't have to ask them so much about themselves and not say something about myself. So that's how I came into the film, as natural as I could be, and having the two sides of everything, which is in one side my hands are getting old and totally bizarre, but in another way I can play with my hands, I can play with the trucks. The thing is there always one thing and it's contrary, and there is nothing pathetic about it. Even the gleaners is not pathetic. There are people in our society that have made a point of making a living of what they can find. So obviously, because I made it like this, going one thing to another, packing it the best I could, having good music and etc. It happens that it meets the people, it touches the people, and it covers many subjects. The film has been used by ecologists, it has been used by people who discuss social issues, it has been used by people who speak, even going far to self-portrait, which I don't think it is, but it has a little drop of it in it. And it has been used by people who want to position the documentary as involving the filmmaker. Like, we are not a person, and just look at people like this. I mean, by being in, not so much in the documentary, but making clear that as a filmmaker, I was involved, I had to share with them something in order to have their opinion and have them. So what happened is that the film really thought we were doing a little documentary because nobody wanted it. And then it went to festival and it became successful, not in meaning of box office, it still is very side, but it has been everywhere, it has been understood everywhere. I was proud that there is a language there that can be understood everywhere. It opened in Japan. I can believe that French cleaners were in Japan, and in the States also, maybe some people, a few, maybe I've seen it in New York or somewhere. But in many countries, in Mexico, and well, I didn't want to sell it in the very, very poor country like Brazil or South Africa, because the gleaners, there are so many that die over the garbage in a way. I wanted to make clear that this is a film made in a rich country. France is a rich country, so this is what's happening in a rich country, which you can imagine what happens elsewhere.